my name is Michael Thurgle of VEDA Communications, your sociologist and photojournalist, and I'm sitting here with someone very special and near and dear to me. I've known her for what, has it been 3 years, 5 years? 5 whole exciting years. I met her when I first started being behind the camera as a photographer. She is one of the premier chefs here in Houston, Texas. She is the owner of Black Girl Tamales. Am I saying that correctly? And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I have had the opportunity to taste these tamales, okay, on several occasions. And I can tell you, as a lover of Mexican food, that there are no tamales in the state of Texas or elsewhere in the United States that taste as good as hers. And if you haven't noticed, she's not a Mexican. She is black. Please tell me about yourself.
Greetings, everyone. I am Chef Latoya Larkin, the proud owner of Black Girl Tamales. As Mike said, we go way back. What was it, the shoot at one of the shows?
Oh, God.
It was an award show, but yeah. We've been locked in ever since.
Yes.
We've been locked in ever since. I actually started that concept pre-COVID, right before I met him. And I've already told you the story, but let me tell everybody else the story. So I am the proud owner of Black Girl Tamales. Yes, as he mentioned, I am not Hispanic. I'm a black girl and I make tamales. So that's why I came up with the concept. So it just came literally out of a whim, out of nowhere. Had some leftover collard greens. My son, he helped me make tamales. And so I had told him, I was like, son, I'm going to take these leftover collard greens and put them in some tamales. Mama, you tripping. Ain't nobody going to buy that. And I'm like, son, but think about it. I was like, it's like cornbread and collard greens. And he was like, well, that makes sense when you say it like that. And I'm like, besides, we in Houston, everybody's doing chicken and pork tamales, like those Mexican fun. Ain't nobody doing no collard green tamales. So, of course, let them try them. That face lit up, so I already knew. I was like, yeah, I got something. Then I let my clients try them because I'm a private chef, and let them try them. It's like, chef, we got to put this on the menu. So it's like, all right, cool. So so I put that on the menu. So we got the collard green and smoked turkey. Still doing the traditional chicken and pork because that's what I grew up making. So I grew up making those, and so when I go to the stores, of course, everybody looking at me crazy for the obvious. I'm black and I got all this stuff for tamales, and it's like, and then they, oh, what are you making? And it's like, really, like you see the stuff, you know it's obvious, but I'm making tamales, and then that's how the conversation started. And I'm just looking like, I already know they're thinking I'm black and I make tamales, and that's when I was like, let me think of a name that's catchy, and it's like Black Girl Tamales because I'm a black girl, I make tamales, and so September 2019, I went ahead, got the logo, DBA, kind of started low level before I really built it out, the LLC and all that, and incorporated, and just ran with it. And so then that year, I had a group of students, and that's another thing too, while I was teaching at this time, my students were monumental to what I did because I taught a lot of at-risk students, and so a lot of them, they love culinary, they want to learn how to cook, they want to come in, but then don't got no money.
Right.
And and it's like, they're not giving away no free food.
Correct.
I got to pay for everything that hit that dock. And so what I was able to do, and it ended up being just a big circle, that full circle type of deal, because I was able to help them and they were able to help me. So I would bring in food, and give them that experience. Okay, look, I need labor for these tamales, so y'all gonna help me roll these tamales. And then I got clients that I cook for and stuff like that, do caterings and meal preps. I'm learning, teaching them how to plan menus and how to the nutrition aspect and stuff like that. So again, it's that type of full circle thing. And so they really helped me build out the concept. And then one of my students, she was like, Chef, we did that etouffee for the teacher luncheon. Why don't we put some of them into tamales? And I was like, etouffee and tamales? It is different. We already got the collard greens, so it's like, all right, well, let's play around with it. And so we got the collard green, smoked turkey, etouffee, crawfish, and shrimp.
Yes. And excuse me. Some people are not from the South. They may not understand what, or even know, or even heard of what etouffee is. Okay. Can you please explain to the audience what that is?
So etouffee, that's that Cajun Creole from Louisiana. That's that type of cooking. So I'm originally from East Texas. So I grew up like right at the border of Texas and Louisiana. So my grandfather, my mom's dad, he's from Louisiana. So you know, we grew up eating all of that type of stuff, the boudin, the jambalaya, the gumbos, the etouffees and all that type of stuff, red beans and rice, and then put everything we got, everything goes with cornbread. And so with etouffee, it's just basically kind of like it's like a gravy type sauce, and season up with what they call the Holy Trinity. That's the peppers, onions, and celery. You can either put your crawfish or your shrimp, cook it down in some stock, and you just cook it down. It's kind of like a smothered sauce, and then you serve it over rice. So that's normally how that's the standard etouffee. You know, of course, there's different variations of how people do it, but that's the basis of like a gravy. You got your either your shrimp or your crawfish, and then the vegetables, and it's just seasoned up real good. And so yeah, we played around with that and got the etouffee. So it's like, okay. And then COVID hit, and so of course when COVID hit, you know, like we didn't go back to school. Like literally for the whole year, we didn't go back to school. Like school shut down after spring break. Okay. When we went on spring break, school shut down, and it's so crazy because it's one of those things of like we have things planned for ourselves, but there's another plan.
Right, life starts life.
Life starts life, right? And what I'm thinking about, you know, restaurants that shut down, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm about to, you know, I love cooking for people. Like, that's something that I don't care how much I blow up or what I do. I love to go cook for people, like do those private events, you know, those date nights and anniversaries and proposal, you know, all of that type of stuff. I love doing those like dinner parties and all that stuff. I love doing that in-house thing. So that's what I thought was going to blow up for me. Okay. You know, because it's like...
Private catering.
Yeah, you know, like just really zoning in on that. And locking in on that because it's like restaurants shut down. You know, can't nobody pull up to the restaurants, can't nobody do all this, and then with them shutting down, it's like, okay, now stuff finna blow up. And you know, I have a pretty decent following on social media. I can clean my freezer out, post some stuff. Hey, shit, let me get that, let me get this. So it's like, yeah, this is about to be it. Like, you know, and then the essential workers, you know, like, you know, all of them. So it's like, yeah, this is finna be it. Like, this is fixing to go. But the tamales took off. And it's just like, and I never thought anything about it. Like, that's just the honesty. Like, never even thought of tamales to be a thing. I didn't even know people ate tamales like that. Like, you know, like, I never thought for it to blow up like that. And so, and then also, my district went into a panic mode. So, like, for 3 weeks, they didn't know what to do. And it's like, hey, what we gonna do with these kids? Like, we at home and like we need something for them to do. And so I was always the type, you know, I had like a little Google Classroom for my kids. And so what I would make them do, you know, like on the weekends and stuff, hey, drop a picture in here, drop a video, let me see you cooking and doing something. So that's how I always kept them kind of active and stuff. So that's what I'm telling them, hey, just keep cooking, just keep sending your videos, keep sending your stuff, and keep doing your thing until I hear something. So what they ended up doing was like this project, PBL, they call it project-based learning. Okay. And so they took each group, and then they took all the TEKs, and the TEKs those are like the standards that they have to teach, right? Okay. And so and they broke it down from like the, you know, the English, the math, the science, and just made like this big project, right? And so then they broke down all the teachers, and they assigned us to what we're gonna grade, and you know, this section and this, that, and other, and it get nothing but God. Why get the seniors that think they're gonna graduate in May haven't showed up to class, haven't logged in or any of that. So that's what they call ingenuity. They call that's like that credit recovery. So I got the sorry students in a sense, right? Okay. So like all I gotta do is call them, hey, did you make sure you do your assignment? And I'm done. Wow. Put it in a spreadsheet, I'm done. Like 9 o'clock after I make all my, I'm done with my day like by 8:30, 9 o'clock. Wow. Still got the whole day.
Not many people can say they have that opportunity.
Absolutely. Because it was some teachers really grading, you know, like really doing some like real hardcore grading and projects and stuff. And it was just like, and I'm done like by 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I was like, man, this it. And so when they gave us that directive, when we went back to meet up and it was kind of telling us what we were going to do, I was laying up in bed, and you know, this is when Zoom calls was a thing. Yeah. No camera on, so I'm kicked back, like looking at the ceiling, you know, camera off type stuff. And I'm thinking, I was like, man, like, what's some other flavors I can come up with? Because like I could see like these collard green tomatoes, like I'm selling out of them like every week. Like I can't keep like I'm actually having to take orders and, you know, make sure I make it to order to keep from running out, because then like I sell so many and then when people want it, it's like I ain't got none. So it's like I got to that point, and so I'm sitting there and I was like, what other flavors could I add to it? Because it's like I just got the, just the etouffee, red beans and rice,
Mm-hmm.
and the collard green, and it's, still of course the regular chicken and pork. But I was like, what can I do other flavors? And then it hit me that weekend. I had made some oxtails for Sunday dinner, right? And when I thought about it, I was like, oxtail tamale. When we in this car, cause that's when I'm gonna pull that meat off the bone. He said, and man, I got up after the car and ran downstairs, pulled that meat off the bone, and that's when the light bulb just went off. I was like, this is it right here. Soul food tamales.
Listen, let me tell you. I have never had oxtail tamales.
Right.
But I have to tell you, that is my favorite tamale from you to this very day.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the one, and it's so, I like to, I've had to turn it into a LTO now, like a limited time offer, and do it so often because like oxtails went up so much.
Yeah, yes.
So it's just like, and back then, they were a little high, but it wasn't as bad.
That
but it's like now, I really gotta come across a plug or something, like, okay, I gotta do some oxtail now. But yeah, at that time, and so and it was just like, because that's the one I always, no problem selling out of that one. Like, I always sell out the oxtail. Like,
wow.
It's never a problem to sell out of that one. And so, when I came up with that, I was like, that's it. And then I was like, everything that goes with cornbread. So I'm about to scrap these traditional chicken and pork, smothered chicken, smothered pork chop. All of those things that are indigenous to us, like that soul food. And then, like I told you, I'm East Texas, I'm a country girl. We ate cornbread with everything. Yeah. So it's like, you got the red beans and rice, so it's like jambalaya, boudin, gumbo, shrimp and grit, like all of those type of foods, like just everything. So I got like that. So I started bringing in all the flavors that, because again, I'm a black girl, so got to make all these flavors that are indigenous to us, and then it got to be like a global thing. And it's like, because I love Jamaican food, so the curry chicken, that has became very popular. The curry chicken.
And by my family coming from the Caribbean, CARICOM is very special to me. Because of the oxtails and the fact that you had the curry and everything like that, which I have not yet tried yet, but I'm quite sure.
Oh, I got you on the curry. I'm actually when I leave from here, I'm going to be going into production because I'm doing a vending event for Centerpoint tomorrow for Juneteenth, and then I have an event for Saturday, a Juneteenth event with the AKAs, and so and actually I just started with the curry. I did the curry. I was playing around with it for a while. I think the last time we interviewed, I had came up with it, but I could have been out. I don't think you tried it, but then I was like, let me run it back, and that has definitely became a popular flavor. So it's like, okay, let me incorporate that.
Well, let's talk about not only just tamales, but just culinary arts in general. Mm-hmm. Have you encountered any resistance?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Talk about that. What was that like for you, and how did that come about?
Man, it's so crazy because it's just, I look at it like, I'm just minding my business. That's first and foremost. I'm not out here bothering nobody. I'm not out here, now my son's grown, but at the time, he was 14, 15 when we started this together. And it's just like, I'm just looking like, hey, we're just trying to make it and survive. That's it. I'm not out here doing nothing illegal. I'm not out here stepping on nobody. At least I didn't think I was stepping on nobody's toes. Okay. But it really became a problem. And when I realized the problem, and I've seen it in so many areas and stuff, because for one, there's a lot of Hispanic people that has a problem with me. And, you're being a cultural appropriate. No, I'm not. I'm not claiming to be Mexican. I'm not claiming to have any Mexican roots or, any of that or trying to do, no. That's what cultural appropriation is, for those who don't know, in case, just let me take you to school for a second. The cultural appropriation is when you're trying to be something, so that's when you have those people, as they say, oh, you're trying to be black, the women that have the short hair and they rocking this and that's that, and it's like, okay, they got braids, you don't have braided texture hair, those type of things. And like I said, if I was dressing up and again trying to be like trying to pass off, no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just simply African American.
Well, maybe that was their way of being like insecure.
Absolutely.
It kind of came out about.
And that's exactly what it is. It's insecurities, because I look at it as a thing of first and foremost, I'm entitled to this, and I say that with my chest, entitlement, because I'm a professionally trained chef. So I went to culinary school, went through ropes, and I learned, and that's the thing that you do. You learn to cook and you're versed in other cuisines. So you don't just, you learn, and then you learn techniques and things of that sort. So that's the beauty of being a chef, that creativity. You can start creating your own and make things your own and come up with things. So again, I'm entitled to come up with whatever I want to come up with, because for the simple fact, I'm a chef. And I'm a classically trained chef at that. So, and that's what classically trained, any type of chef, whether you classically trained or you just work your way up. That's the beauty of being a chef. You get to be creative and do your thing.
So it's that art meets function and form.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ideal that comes.
And you put
together
your spin and twist on it, but you said it, like, it's the insecurities. It's those that are insecure that want to start, throwing out those type where, I know somebody that, okay, cool. It's good, they doing their thing, I'm doing my thing. We minding our business, at least I'm minding mine. So what's the problem? And I think it also comes from that scarcity mindset that a lot of people have, like, can't nobody do it like me, or only we can do this. No, people can do what they want to do. Like, we're in Houston, like, this is the 4th largest city in the country, and it's like, and it's just it's getting bigger, and it's just a big melting pot. So it's plenty of money to be made. It's like, who cares? But again, it's just one of those things what I call haters. When I had my cafe, I can't remember if it came before or after.
Was it the one that was in the corporate building?
Yeah, somebody broke into it over Christmas. Yeah. And it's like, we come back Christmas Day, and it was like, and you could tell it was personal. It was like they sent the message. You could tell about some of the stuff they did, like, oh, you trying to send a message.
Wow.
Like that type of deal. And it was, and it came about because, again, at this time I'm having all this press coming at me, and that's another thing too, reading the comments, those type of things. People could get caught up reading those comments, but again, it's just one of those things of like, and at first I kind of like, man, like, I'm just minding my business.
I was very unaware of a break-in or anything like that had occurred, and that the fact that someone would do that to send a message to you because you were gaining popularity, not only in Houston, but really globally.
Right. And it was just like, what? Like, you gonna break in? And like, again, like, I'm just working, minding my business. That's the thing. That's why I'm not that's what I really realized, like, people just hate us.
I believe it was my brother who told me this. He says, hey, thieves don't break into an empty house.
Right.
And your house was evidently full.
It's full. When I say, it was just so crazy because, like I said, between that, just having different write-ups and stuff like that, and then when you start seeing stuff and, like, the thought process of people, and it's even one of my favorites that I read. Oh, well, let a white person come out and do white fried chicken. Let them do white fried chicken. I know some white people that can fry chicken. Like, again, it's not, you can't just
you can't inject colorism into
right, and you sound wild. But again, you also let people know what you're about and how you
this
really
is also
think.
True.
And what you look, how you really look at people. Because again, my thing is, I applaud anybody that's doing their thing. If you're out here ethically, you're not trying to steal from nobody, you ain't scamming nobody. You ain't doing, like, you just trying to make it, and you just again minding your business. Do your big one.
That is something.
Like, do your big one. Like,
let me ask you. For chefs, do you have any favorite, like, cuisine or any favorite food personally?
A favorite food.
I know, over the decades that you've been doing this, you have tasted food from all over the world.
Right.
And it can be very difficult to narrow it down to 2 to 3, even 10 different flavors of food or in cuisine.
You know what? I would have to say, I think one of my favorites, I like Asian Thai food.
Thai food is good.
I love it. Like, it's,
why?
The flavors, it's not heavy, the lightness, you can easily put your vegetables and, the seasonings and the herb. I like the lightness and the aromatics and just the flavor, like, the flavor profiles and concepts. Because a lot of those staples, those are my favorites. Cilantro, ginger, lemongrass, those type of flavors. And then, it's so, and then it has that range, and you can take that depth or the vibrantness of it. And it just, and it's, again, it's light, not heavy, because I'm not really a heavy eater. I can't do all of the, you know, even though I cook, like I cook for anybody, whatever they want, and I make these tamales up, like I can't eat tamales like that all the time, and I can't eat all of like the smothers and all of that. I can't eat all of it. So I mean, I grew up eating it and stuff like that, but again, as you get older, your palate's change and stuff like that, and digestion and stuff. And so I just like light stuff, and that is definitely one of those things like stir fries. Love soups. I'm like a soup head. It is like 1,000,000 degrees outside. I could eat some soup right now. Like I'm a soup person, like I like, because again it's light and it ain't nothing too heavy. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of like that Asian flair.
Okay, and listen, the Trump administration has the global tariffs, the reciprocal tariffs.
Yeah.
Okay. How has that impacted the culinary industry and the restaurant industry in itself?
And like eggs, prime example, something like that. Like we just go lay it out there. Like a lot of the stuff that we're getting, like even from with tamales.
Okay.
Corn husk. Yeah, there are some corn husks that comes from the States and stuff, but a lot of them they come from Mexico. They come from I bought a case. I went to the grocery. Now I don't go to the grocery store. I usually go like to a restaurant supply because I can get them in bulk and I get them a little bit cheaper. And even they went up a little bit. But I went to the store and I seen 1 pack of corn husk, or 1 pound, like a 1 pound 16 ounce thing of corn husk, $10.99.
What was it previously?
Corn, you can get corn at $4.99.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
$4.99, $5, and even been like right before the tariff, they went up a little bit. Like even right before the tariff, probably like no more than $6 was the gap.
Where do you see the restaurant and culinary industry going? Let's say within the Trump administration, where do you see them doing this? Three more years left?
I see the restaurant industry. The trend that I can predict is a lot of private breakouts.
What do you mean by that?
People doing their own thing, like kind of like that private chef thing. Because again, like the overhead, when it comes to being, I was a restaurant chef for 8 years. I had a cafe and stuff like that. In my heart, I didn't want it because I know the headaches that could come with it.
Okay.
But it's also, I know I needed it. So that's kind of why I took on the project, because I know I needed it where I was at to gain some of the notoriety and traction and action I needed to get. But also at the same point in time, I feel like when it comes down to restaurants and when it comes down to that, it can be so hit or miss, because in this economy, when it comes back, dining, that's going to be one of the first things people scale back on.
Well, I really can't tell, because every month on VEDA.com, we publish the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. And what we're seeing as far as the trend coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is that people are going out to eat more than they're actually cooking at home.
Right.
So I really don't, I'm struggling to see that disconnect on your prediction there.
So here's the thing, when it comes, what's your demographic? Because
it was not demographic specific.
Okay, so that's where that's another thing too, when you look at that demographic, because when you take somebody older, millennials, they eat now. They're raised at a different level. So it's just like when it comes to us, where we're at, a lot of us, again, how we raise, let's scale back on here, we can do this, we'll still go out to eat, we can do this from time to time. But millennials, due to the fact of how they're not missing a beat. They're still going out. So I look at it in regards to where the money is. Okay. And most people that are more established. Now, of course, if people are more established and they got the money, because you got some people, they're not feeling no burn. Trump could be in the administration for another, on top of this 3 and another 4. and
it wouldn't matter.
And it would not matter because they're not missing a beat. So it just really depends on that target market, the type of restaurants that you're going to run, the type of restaurants, because I look at that trend of, when you see a lot of these people coming out, again, these private, like the people that the food trucks and they're on DoorDash or they're on Uber Eats from the ghost kitchen or from the house, and they selling plates and stuff, that type of deal. So it really depends when it comes down to the type of restaurant, the type of concept, demographic, target market, because it could just, it really
because there's a lot of restaurants right here in Houston that have been open for quite some time. They're now starting to close down.
Right. And
is it due to the tariffs, or is it just saying, hey, it's time for me to go and move on to something else?
I wouldn't exactly say that. I mean, the tariffs could have a play depending on what they're sourcing, because it really depends on what you're sourcing. Because some people, if you're heavier on certain, you got to have certain products and certain things, of course that's gonna affect it. But if you could source it from somewhere, locally, and again, it really depends. Like because I don't want to get too caught up and say and just kind of put my foot in my mouth.
No, I understand.
It will really depend on the specs of the situation, because again, one person may have an inside plug and they could get some things for a cheaper price versus another person, and depending on where they're sourcing and that. Because one thing about it, with these tariffs and with everything that's in place, somebody got to eat it up. So costs are gonna go up. Because let's say I go to the farmer's market and I'm gonna get my corn husk from the farmer here, and it's just like, hey, chef, I can no longer honor that $5. The $5, like I gotta beef it
Raise
up.
It up.
And again, realistically, I get it, because when you look at stuff like fuel, eggs, when stuff like that start going, stuff about to go up.
Okay.
Especially
so these are like market indicators,
right? Especially fuel, because think about that. How they gotta get it to you? You got transport, that transportation. So anytime that fuel go up and stuff like that, that is definitely one. Eggs. That's also with a supply. That comes down to a supply chain. So we do a monthly call with my job at the airport, and so what we do is we'll talk about like the trends and stuff. And I know it was like something with the bird flu, so that's why it was like
so they had to cut off a lot
it was like
of birds.
A shortage on the egg. There was a shortage with the eggs, so that's why, of course, with them having to not being able to sell so many in that supply demand. So that's where they're kind of so now they're kind of getting a hold on things. So now the price of eggs is starting to come down a little bit. But those are definitely indicators when like that fuel go up and stuff like that, and those type of outbreaks and stuff. So that'll definitely.
Okay, let's transition into food in America. Okay. A lot of people are becoming more afraid to eat due to chemical dyes, which I just read, or at least informed that they're going to be scaling back the amount of food and artificial dyes they put into the food here. What is your take on that? I mean, are food dyes dangerous? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay, I have to ask,
Absolutely. A lot of those, I was reading this, and that's also another thing, part of the call, with the call that we do. Okay. America is like one of the like the most unhealthiest population, because again, all of those dyes, fillers, all of that type of stuff, and like a lot of people that are really gaining that awareness, of stuff that's going into, they're starting to really get healthier. They're starting to realize, because it's like, I was actually talking to my mom. She was like, man, I'm just noticing so many people are dying so young. They're so young and they dying, and it's like, and I was like, well, for one, of course, depending on, and she was talking about where we were from, like from East Texas. I was like, for one, they don't have to take care of themselves. Let's look at, they don't have to take care of themselves. They don't, they still got the country mindset, so they ain't have to take care of themselves. Still eating all that, all that fattening, heavy, Sunday dinner plates and stuff like that on a regular, not just.
For those that don't know what a Sunday dinner is, can you explain?
Yeah. So that Sunday dinner plate, I call it a Big Mama, and then when you go to Big Mama in them house, that's where you got your smothered, your smothered pork chops, the smothered shit, everything's smothered, and you got all the carbs and stuff. You got those people on Facebook that correct me on where you see them where they put the plate where they got like the rice. And then the smothered, whatever the meat is, and then they got a side of mashed potatoes, and then a side of a roll, and then it's just like, and then macaroni and shit. It's like, dang, you ain't got nothing but starch on the plate, like all that starch and stuff. So all that heavy, like fattening, artery clogging type of stuff. But even outside of that type of food, people really start gaining that awareness of like what's going in the food. Like people start to be more conscious. They are. And even with I've even reworked my tamale recipe, because I'm aiming, like I've made a pivot for the retail placement, food service, that type of placement and stuff. And what I've done is kind of cleaned it up. My masa's always been vegan. Because when I first started making them, like I did chicken broth, like you know, cook down like real chicken broth, take the chicken and vegetables and stuff and cook it down and everything. But now I do a vegan based masa. Okay. So that's why I was able to branch out and do vegan tamales as well, because my masa's already vegan, so it doesn't make sense not to have some vegan.
Correct.
And then the flavor's still there. I still have the same flavor that I had when I was doing the chicken. When I was doing the chicken broth and doing stuff like that. Because I don't use the pork lard. I don't use any pork or anything like that. And so like coconut oil. Now, granted, tamales are not like fat free or low calories, but it's clean. So that's what people are looking for. They're looking for those clean ingredients. Like, they get it, it's going to be like some fat and stuff, but it's wholesome and it's clean. Because to see that it has coconut oil as the oil base versus the vegetable oil or versus the margarine, or anything like that, or that's not like, meat based. It's a whole lot cleaner. So it's just like people are just really gaining that awareness because it's starting to be tied into health, So that's definitely one of those things. And those colors and dyes. When my son was younger, he was diagnosed with ADHD. Okay. And that's one of the things that the doctor was saying, the red dyes. Red dyes has a correlation.
Really?
Yeah, the red dyes has a correlation with...
it's so many people that are like public officials that are really afraid to speak on that. I was down in Austin. I was covering a geopolitical event. Okay. And I'm down at the Capitol. And it was some food business there. They looked like they were big business. And the guy that's sitting on the panel, he's one of the officials, he says, hey, listen, is your product safe?
Right.
And so the guy says, well, as far as we can tell, we're still looking into it. We really don't know. I'm not a researcher. I don't want to misspeak. And the bells are going off in my head. Okay, I'm saying to myself, okay, why is Austin, Texas, allowing this entity to put their product on the market if they don't know what it is and what it does?
You can't answer questions. That's the one. Like, I mean, look, one thing about it, like, even with, just if somebody asks me something like, what's in my tomato, I can run it down.
Right.
Because again, I get it, that whole eating clean, healthy, because again, people just want to know what they eat.
Right,
I mean, like I said, it's granted, it's given, some things are just going to be what it is, and they're okay with it, as long as they're not
they know what it is.
Right, and not overindulging, because people are starting to gain that awareness, so they want to track their health, they want to track what they're consuming, they want to be, conscious of what they're putting in their bodies and stuff, and so it's just like, when people can't answer them type of questions, for one, if they're a really big company, like you were saying, you can't tell me they ain't funding some stuff. So that money is putting some people on hush mouth.
I mean, the official that was there had to be at least a good 10 on the board, the panel.
Yeah.
And they were lobbing these questions. They appeared to be concerned, but nothing came after that. Now, I put myself in the official's shoes.
Right.
I would have said something to the effect of, hey, I tell you what, we're going to pull your product off the market until you can tell us exactly what your product is. Correct. I think that is a fair thing to do for public health and public safety.
Correct, but again, just like I said, falling back on, if that's a big company, you never know how they line in those pockets. And money talk. Money will keep people on hush mouth. The right amount, because again, they ain't finna just, what you saying, that's what the ethical person that cares. Hey, so I'll tell you what we can do. Let's pull your product until we can get some spec sheets, until we can get a rundown on everything, and then we can go from there.
Gotcha.
If we was to say that, that's gonna put them on the spot. That's gonna hold them accountable.
Yes.
So therefore, let them talk in circles. Keep doing what they do. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing what they do, and then it just goes from there. But
wow.
Money talks. That's one thing I'll say about
so,
this.
So, I mean, is it fair to say that type of practice is runs rampant within the culinary arts community? Is that something that happens with restaurants, where a restaurant may purposely put out something that they know may not necessarily be good for the public? Is that something that happens, or is there some kind of ethical barrier there?
So I wouldn't say that. Depend on the person's integrity, because you have some people they'll take the cheap route, right?
What is
the cheap route? When I say the cheap route is going to be, let's take a burger patty for example.
Okay.
You could take a burger patty. You have like those burger patties that are quality.
How do you tell what a quality burger patty is?
Oh, you could look at it and tell. Like, for one, like, let's say, I'll tell you what, next time you go to the grocery store, just the grocery store, you don't even go to the restaurant, supply, anything, just go to the grocery store.
Okay.
Go to the grocery store, look at those burgers, and they usually come in like an 8-pack, maybe like a 6.
Like the round cylinder circle thing,
the 6 to 8-pack.
Okay.
And those be like the 100% beef, maybe like a 75-25 or 80-20.
For those that are looking or listening, they don't know what a 75-25
So let me tell you,
is.
okay, so for us, quick lesson. So 75-25, that means the fat content. So you're gonna have the leanness of it, right? So you'll have 75% of the meat with 25 of fat, and 80-20. So the smaller number, that's the amount of fat. Now, granted, the more fat is gonna be a juicier burger, but then because when you have those meats that are like the 90-10, those are ones that's real lean, like they kind of dry, so you can't dry them out. But it's just the fat content, so that's what I mean by that when I say the 70. I know, and please, I'm so glad you stopped.
I'm gonna ask.
I know, and I do that too, because it's like sometimes I be talking to them like they know, and it's like, whoa, what's that? And it's just like even with shrimp, you know, like with the shrimp count, when you see the 16-20s, right?
Okay.
And once I was telling my boyfriend, I was like, yeah, get the 16-20s, and he was like, what is a 16-20? And I was like, the 16-20 shrimp. And he was like, oh, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, my bad. 16-20, that means the size of the shrimp, and so that's how many comes in a pound.
Oh, okay.
So if you had that number, if you see those numbers when they have like the 16-20 or the U12s or anything like that, that means that's the amount of it that it'll take to make a pound.
Understood.
So it'll take 16 to 20 shrimp to make a pound. So,
okay. So we're looking at that fat content in ratio to the actual meat product.
Right, that's what that, but no. What I'm talking about on the meat, if you look at if you take those meat patties, I was just giving an example of those type of meat. You take those meat patties and then you look at that, it's like you always gonna find them in a grocery store. They come in a box, and it's like a red box, and they'll be like meat patties. And if you look at them, you turn over and you start reading those ingredients, you got all type of fillers. And again, it is beef. It's all beef.
Okay.
No lie, because it's everything coming from the cow. But you got all type of hearts and all type of grinded
these are organs.
All type of stuff. Fillers. Those are all type of fillers versus it being like lean meat.
Like straight muscle.
Right, like straight down. So and then when you look at them, you can tell when you cook them, when how the patties cook, all of that. So yeah, it's those type of, when you take people like that are cutting corners, just to make ends meet and stuff like that, they'll add in all those fillers, they'll add in all that stuff. Oh, we vegetarian, and again, you can do vegetarian stuff because, but there's definitely a difference between vegan and vegetarian, because you have some people, they don't know the difference.
What is the difference?
And so the difference with vegan and vegetarian, with vegan, no meat at all. Now you could do stuff like, again, I'm going to take my tamales back to the example. When I first started making tamales, and I started doing like my first vegetarian tamale was like those beefless crumbles that you can make. So I took those and cooked those down. Now again, it's just vegetarian. I can't call it, now I can call it a vegan tamale, but before I couldn't call it vegan because I use chicken stock, right?
Understood. So it has to be no animal products.
No byproducts, no nothing.
Okay.
Like it's just got to be straight what it is. So when I do my, so now I could say I have a vegan beef taco versus just at first it was a vegetarian beef taco because it was a byproduct from the chicken stock, even though there's no chicken in it. It's just, just the byproduct.
Right, it still has an animal protein.
Right, so so when people say like, oh, it's vegan, just knowing that difference, like vegan is truly vegan, like no nothing.
Do you sell a lot of vegan?
I do, like the vegan, I got a vegan collard, vegan dirty rice, a vegan beef taco, and a vegan oxtail. So it's a vegan oxtail.
Wow.
So yeah.
I don't know about the vegan oxtail. I have to have the whole animal.
Okay,
I'm a savage. Somebody's gonna have to die. The vegan
oxtail, that's the.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
It's the so I take black beans, chopped up mushrooms. I use some of the impossible meat just to give a little bit of texture. coconut flour, and then I cook it down in the Jamaican oxtail seasoning.
Gotcha.
And like shape them up, and then like put a white carrot in the middle for a bone, and just like kind of give it that look and shape it up like that. And so I cook it down. Now, if I sell them like that, they actually look like oxtails. That's
really?
the crazy. Yeah, that's the crazy part. When I came up with it, I had a client, and he was like one of the BS people, right? And he had posted stuff on social media. Him and his friends, they going back and forth. And he was like, man, this is trash. Man, if it ain't a real oxtail, I don't want it. And I laughed. But I started thinking, I was like, wait, what's wrong with that? Vegan, that's a game changer. And I started doing some research and looking up on some stuff.
Okay.
And when I did it, I was like, okay. Again, I said, I'm not I will eat vegan stuff as long as it ain't weird.
Okay.
And then like that, some vegan stuff is just like, just leave that alone. But if it's not weird, come out too weird, I'll definitely eat some vegan stuff. And when I ate it, it was like, okay, this ain't too. It's got the, psychologically, I feel the texture. I feel like the texture of it, of that being meat. Then it's cooked in the way that it's cooked down and the way it looks like oxtail. But I ain't know no better. And then especially when I had posted it, I was asking everybody, hey, if y'all could tell me what this is, I'm gonna meal prep for you for a week. And when I say nobody couldn't, and everybody kept saying, man, I know them oxtails, this, that. It's just like, nah, they're not. They vegan oxtail. Vegan, man, they look like real. And it's like, yeah, I know they look real. So
that's a good way to kind of bring people into a more healthier option.
Yeah, just
because people trying to shy away from when they hear vegan, they say, oh well, I don't know.
Yeah,
is that hesitation?
And my son, he's like that too. He gets on my nerves, but he like that too. When I be trying to, try him to, hey, try it. What is it, mama? Hey, just try it. Man, what is? I know when you say just try it. What is it? All right, it's vegan. I'm good, mama. Hey, come on, just give it a try. Mama, this ain't real meat. Like, if it's real meat, if you want real meat, just get real meat. Like, he's a total meathead. So it's like, man, go away. So he ain't even a good help. But one thing that I do, what I have grown to, I love mushrooms. I'm a mushroom head.
Okay.
Taking those oyster mushrooms,
okay.
And if you shred them, like take a fork and run it up and down, and then fry them, like, batter them, hey, they could pass for, like, when you cut it, it really looks like chicken.
Really?
Really, because was the way you do, like, when you shred, you'll create the texture, right? You'll create a little bit of texture in them and stuff. But yeah, if you cut them up and put the fork to it to kind of shred, give it that shred, and then dip it, batter it, and fry it. I promise, if you cut them, they really look like tenders.
Wow,
Like they really look like chicken. It's just like, okay, and again, psychological thing. It's just one of them psychological things. When it comes down to.
Well, let's do this. We're gonna wrap here.
Okay.
But where can people find you?
So right now, I am doing pop-ups, vending and pop-ups. So just follow me on social media because, again, I've kind of taken the approach where we're working on major retail and food service placement. Some exciting things are coming along the way.
Very much so.
Again, just follow me on Black Girl Tamales on all social media networks. And you can catch my schedule or where I'll be popping up at. I also still take hosted orders. So if anybody hit me up, they want to get an order or something like that, I am still doing that, but just really zoning in now to really focus and tighten up the stuff and getting things right for the retail placement. So finishing up some accelerated programs at Walmart and Watson Institute. They have sponsored and gave me a fellowship. Completed that tedious training, but so much needed because, again, it has allowed me to work on the business. So now I'm able to tailor some things, especially in this pivot and this shift. And now looking at things, because that's what I was telling you about, I reworked the recipe. Yeah. So now it's those are things that I'm looking at because, again, we're picking up on those trends and stuff like that. Okay. Checking out CPG and what that is. That's consumer product goods for people that don't know what CPG means, and that just basically means anything retail.
Gotcha.
Pretty much, so just staying current on those trends, and that was one of the trends that I picked up. Being an accelerated program is learning how people are eating and stuff, but it's just one of those if it's not the healthiest, as long as they know what they eat.
Okay.
That's what it
just give them that option to say yes or no.
Correct. That right there.
Understood.
So yeah, that's really it. Just follow me on social media, and again, reach out to me. I'm pretty accessible. Email blackgirltamales@gmail.com. Let me know what it is, what you'd like to order, and our website, blackgirltamales.net, so you can check out the menu. So.
All right, and it was always a pleasure to have you here on VEDACOM.com. This is VEDACOMM.com. My name is Michael Thurl, photojournalist and sociologist, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.